I cheered him on from the beginning through empty pockets and late nights. Then he became wealthy and left me behind. What he didn't know was the secret I had kept, the one that would turn the tables forever. Sometimes the people we love the most drift away when the world lifts them higher than they expected. I am Elaine, and this is a story about love, loss, and the quiet power of holding on to truth. If it touches something in you, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your truth, your story needs to be echoed. We didn't have much, but we had us. Our mornings smelled of burnt toast and hope. Daniel would hum quietly while I packed his lunch. 2 slices of bread, 1 boiled egg, and a folded napkin with a note that always said, "You've got this." He'd grin like it was a love letter. Maybe it was. I could still remember the chill of the kitchen, the steam rising from a chipped mug of coffee, the soft morning light through a cracked window. Life was simple, messy, imperfect, but ours, and it felt full of possibility. We met when he was a junior accountant, struggling to pay rent. I worked part-time at a community center, tutoring children whose laughter often drowned out my own exhaustion. Every evening he'd walk me home. The streetlights flickered above us, and the rain turned our shoes into squeaky companions. It was in these moments that dreams felt tangible. He whispered to me once, "One day, Clara, I'll have an office with glass walls and a view of the city." I laughed softly, shaking my head, pretending not to believe him. "Just don't forget the people who cheered you on from the bottom." He squeezed my hand, a promise in that simple gesture. "Never. You'll always be part of every success I have." When he got his first real interview, we had no money for a new suit. I found an old blazer at a thrift store and stayed up all night fixing the cuffs. By morning, it looked brand new, pressed, hopeful, ready for the world. He left for the interview, smiling nervously, and I felt a flutter of pride. In that tiny apartment, love was tangible, stitched into the fabric of his jacket and my endless small sacrifices. That night, he got the job. We danced barefoot in our living room. The paint peeled from the walls, but joy filled every crack. We believed love was enough to feed us, and for a while, it truly was. The days that followed were filled with whispered plans and dreams sketched on napkins. Daniel worked long hours, often coming home exhausted, but smiling because of the future we envisioned together. I watched him pour his heart into every spreadsheet, every calculation, and I silently promised myself that no matter what happened, I would be the quiet force behind his success. It was never about money. It was about love, trust, and loyalty, the foundation that neither wealth nor ambition could replace. Evenings were our sanctuary. After dinner, we would sit by the window sharing stories, dreams, and fears. I loved how he talked about the city skyline as if he could paint it with words, his eyes sparkling with hope. I reminded him gently, no matter how high you rise, never forget who cheered for you at the bottom. And he would always nod, holding my hand a little tighter, a silent vow etched into our hearts. Life was simple, but every small victory felt monumental. We celebrated promotions with leftover cake and a shared bottle of soda. We celebrated milestones by sitting on the balcony and counting stars, imagining the lives we would create together. Through all the uncertainty, one thing remained, our unwavering commitment to each other. In that tiny apartment, in the flickering light and the aroma of burnt toast, we built our universe. Time passed, and Daniel's career began to grow. I watched him step into new offices, shake hands with clients, and take on responsibilities far beyond the man he was when we first met. Pride swelled in my chest, but so did a quiet ache. Somewhere along the way, our simple shared joys began to fade. Even so, I never complained. I understood that success demanded focus, and I loved him enough to let him grow. Yet, I kept a little secret close to my heart, a journal of our early struggles, our laughter, our dreams, and every moment that shaped the man he was. This secret wasn't about leverage or revenge. It was a reminder that love and loyalty aren't measured by wealth, status, or recognition. Some nights I'd sit alone, flipping through old photographs. Daniel in his first suit, barefoot dancing in our living room, laughing at burnt toast, or clutching his little lunch note. The nostalgia stung, but it also reminded me that our foundation was unshakable, even if he had temporarily forgotten the people who had built it with him. I whispered to the empty room, "No matter how high you go, Daniel, remember where you started and who stood beside you." This quiet reflection became my ritual, a way to hold on to the love that had never wavered, even when recognition seemed absent. The secret I carried was more than memories. It was a plan, a gentle way to remind him of the life we shared and the values we had built together. I began crafting small gestures, letters tucked into his luggage before trips, small tokens on his desk at work, reminders that love and loyalty were never forgotten, even if they were temporarily overshadowed by ambition. It was subtle, yet deliberate. Every act whispered, "I'm still here, and I've always believed in you." Then came the moment that changed everything. Daniel had reached a pinnacle, a promotion that took him far beyond our humble beginnings. Yet he barely noticed the small gestures I had been leaving, too focused on the whirlwind of success. My heart ached, but I held firm. I knew the right time would come, the moment when he would truly see, understand, and feel the depth of my devotion and guidance. And when it did, it would be undeniable. The secret, once revealed, would remind him that love and loyalty had quietly shaped every triumph. At night, I'd look out over the city lights, recalling the small apartment where it all began, the peeling paint, the laughter, the dreams scribbled on napkins. I smiled softly, knowing that one day Daniel would understand that success is not just measured in titles or money, but in love, patience, and those who walked beside you through it all. Daniel's life had changed dramatically. What was once a cramped apartment was now a sleek high-rise office. Expensive suits replaced thrift store blazers, and his days were consumed with meetings, presentations, and endless phone calls. Clara watched from the sidelines, proud yet aching. She remembered the boy who had promised never to forget her, the man who whispered dreams under flickering streetlights. Now, caught in the whirlwind of ambition, he barely remembered the love that had supported him from the very beginning. She often wondered if he even remembered the mornings filled with burnt toast, the small gestures that built trust, the silent encouragement tucked into folded napkins. Those memories were precious to her, yet invisible to him now. Evenings became Clara's moments of reflection. She wandered past the streets where their love had blossomed, the small apartment, the thrift store, the puddled sidewalks where rain had turned shoes into squeaky companions. Each memory was a thread in the tapestry of their life together, a life quietly overshadowed by wealth and success. She began jotting notes in a small journal, documenting moments of neglect, subtle reminders of loyalty, and every instance where Daniel had unintentionally drifted away. This journal was not a weapon of vengeance. It was a repository of truth, a map to reconnect their shared history. Clara reminded herself constantly, patience was power, silence was strategy, and love would be the ultimate revelation. Daniel rarely noticed Clara anymore. Birthday greetings were delayed, calls often unanswered, and shared meals became rushed. She held no anger. Instead, she channeled her energy into thoughtful planning. Every action was intentional, deliberate, designed to quietly remind Daniel of their shared past and enduring love. Her secret, a collection of mementos, letters, and memories, was ready to be revealed at the perfect moment. Until then, she observed, loved, and waited. One evening, Daniel returned from a business trip, slightly breathless and apologetic. "Din Clara, I've been so busy. I didn't mean to—" Clara smiled softly, cutting him off with gentle warmth. "I understand, Daniel. Life moves fast. But remember, the people who stood beside you when nothing was easy, when dreams were just whispers, are still here." Her words lingered, a delicate reminder of the love that had never wavered. Daniel glanced at her, sensing the weight behind her calm tone, but not fully grasping it. Clara began leaving small reminders of their life together, a framed photo on his desk, a note tucked into his briefcase, a tiny gift he might not notice immediately. Each gesture layered with meaning, designed to stir memories and reflection. Sometimes she would catch him pausing, glancing at the items briefly, not yet recognizing the significance. Her patience was tested, but she trusted the process. Every act whispered, "I'm still here. I've never left." Week by week, Daniel's success soared. Invitations to exclusive events, meetings with executives, accolades poured in. Yet the absence of Clara's acknowledgement began to register. Something was missing, not approval, but presence, encouragement, the love that once fueled his ambition. Unbeknownst to him, Clara's careful orchestration of reminders was slowly bridging the gap between the man he had become and the boy she once nurtured. She watched quietly, allowing him the thrill of success, while preserving the truth that would eventually reconnect them. Clara recalled their first day in the tiny apartment. Daniel had arrived with hope in his eyes, and they danced barefoot on cracked floors, celebrating small victories with laughter and whispers of dreams. Every moment etched into her heart. Her secret would serve as a bridge back to those beginnings, a reminder that love and loyalty endure even when ambition overshadows them. She began adding layers to her secret, small keepsakes, letters, and reminders, each curated to reconnect him with the foundation they had built together. One evening, Daniel paused at a framed photo of the two of them in the tiny apartment, the one with peeling paint and laughter echoing through the cracks. He ran his fingers along the edge, a faint smile forming. Memories stirred. Late nights, small victories, whispered promises. Across the room, Clara watched quietly, heart steady but full. She knew the moment of revelation was near. The box of memories, letters, and tokens she preserved waited patiently, ready to remind him that love and loyalty had never faded. Patience had been her ally, strategy her companion, and now as Daniel lingered over the photo, the stage was set. The secret would awaken recognition, and the echo of their shared history would resonate far deeper than wealth or ambition ever could. The weekend had come, and the city was bathed in a soft golden light. Clara had carefully left the wooden box on Daniel's desk, slightly ajar, just enough to catch his attention. She stepped back, pretending to busy herself elsewhere, her heartbeat steady but full of anticipation. When Daniel noticed it, he froze. His eyes widened slightly as he bent down, opening the box. Each letter, each photograph, each carefully preserved memory was like a whisper from the past, echoing the love and care he had nearly forgotten. He picked up a small envelope, recognizing the familiar handwriting immediately. The note inside was simple yet profoundly touching. "Daniel, never forget where your dreams began and the people who held you through them." Memories came flooding back. Clara sewing his first blazer, late-night study sessions, whispered encouragement, the little lunches packed with love. The emotions Daniel had suppressed for years began to surface. Guilt, gratitude, and a deep yearning for connection. Daniel sank into his chair, overwhelmed by the realization that success had made him forget what truly mattered. Clara's quiet strategy had been perfect. No confrontation, no accusations, just a carefully placed reminder of love that had never wavered. He ran his hands through his hair, taking in every detail of the photographs and letters. seeing their shared history laid bare. Every smile, every small victory, every tender moment was now illuminated in a clarity he had never allowed himself to feel before. Clara quietly approached, placing her hand lightly on his shoulder. "I waited for you to see it yourself. I didn't want to remind you in anger, only to guide you back to what matters." Daniel turned, eyes glistening, voice catching in his throat. "Clara, I don't know what to say. I've been so blind." She smiled gently. "You don't have to say anything. Just remember, that's enough." Over the next hour, Daniel pored over every item in the box. Each letter reminded him of Clara's unwavering patience, each photograph of her quiet dedication. He realized the wealth he had chased could never replace these priceless memories, the acts of love and devotion that had shaped him into the man he was. Finally, he stood and walked toward Clara, a mixture of regret and longing in his eyes. "I forgot," he whispered, voice breaking. "I forgot everything you did for me. I am so sorry." Clara's expression softened. "You didn't forget entirely. You just needed to see it again. We all need reminders sometimes." The tension that had weighed on their relationship for years seemed to dissolve in that moment. Love, patience, and understanding bridged the gap that wealth and ambition had created. That evening, Daniel invited Clara to a quiet dinner at a small, familiar restaurant, the place where their journey had begun years ago. It wasn't about grandeur or extravagance. It was about reconnecting and remembering the foundation of their life together. As they sat across from each other, holding hands and sharing stories, Daniel realized that love, like their shared memories, was timeless. Wealth could build walls, but it could never replace the heart. Clara looked around the room, the quiet evening reflecting on the city lights outside. She said, "Life gives us choices. It's never too late to return to the people who matter most." Daniel nodded, finally understanding. "And I will never forget again," he replied, squeezing her hand. The past had been reclaimed, the secret had revealed its power, and the future felt brighter than any achievement could ever offer. The days that followed were quiet, but filled with a new energy. Daniel returned home with a sense of humility and purpose, determined to reconnect with Clara and the life they had nearly let slip away. Each morning, he greeted her with a warmth that had been missing for years, a reminder that love, when nurtured, can grow even after neglect. Clara noticed the subtle changes. He listened more attentively, laughed freely at small moments, and shared stories about work without the usual pride or arrogance. It wasn't the wealth that made him different, it was the awakening that came from remembering what truly mattered. Daniel suggested they revisit the old streets of their early days, places that had shaped their journey, the thrift store where Clara had fixed his first blazer, the corner cafe where they had celebrated tiny victories, even the park where they had shared dreams under flickering streetlights. Each location became a pilgrimage of memory and gratitude. Walking hand in hand, they laughed at the small details they had once overlooked: peeling paint, squeaky floorboards, the smell of old coffee and paper. Every familiar sight reminded Daniel that the true riches had always been in these shared moments. One afternoon, Daniel called Clara into his office, now modest but carefully organized, a space where ambition met thoughtfulness. "I have been thinking," he began, "about how I lost sight of us. I want to make things right, not just with you, but with the people and moments that matter." He handed her a small notebook. Inside, he had started recording memories, plans, and reflections, an acknowledgement of lessons learned. Clara's eyes welled up with tears, not from sadness, but from the depth of love that came from patience, forgiveness, and understanding. Clara suggested they host a small dinner for friends and family, a celebration of reconnection rather than extravagance. It wasn't about showing wealth or success, it was about showing appreciation and rebuilding bonds that had frayed under neglect. They spent hours planning the dinner together, laughing at old jokes and revisiting stories of shared struggles. Each moment reinforced the truth they had discovered. Love, respect, and recognition are the foundations of lasting relationships. One evening of the dinner arrived. The small apartment was transformed with simple touches. Candles flickered softly, family photographs adorned the walls, and the aroma of home-cooked food filled every corner. Friends and relatives gathered, sensing the quiet shift in energy. The tension that had once lingered was replaced with warmth, humility, and shared joy. Daniel took Clara's hand across the table. "I want this to be my life about," he whispered. "Not the money, the office, or the view. This, us, our family, the people who made me who I am." Clara squeezed his hand, a silent acknowledgement that love had endured, healed, and flourished. Later that night, Clara and Daniel sat by the window, the city lights twinkling below. Daniel reflected aloud. "I chased wealth, thinking it was the measure of my success, but I lost sight of what really matters. You, the people who supported me, our memories, that's my true treasure." Clara smiled softly. "And now you see it. Now you remember." The silence between them was comfortable, filled with unspoken understanding. The journey had been long, but the rewards were deeper than any bank balance could ever provide. Forgiveness, love, and renewed connection. As they prepared for bed, Daniel placed the small wooden box on the bedside table, a symbol of lessons learned, memories preserved, and love reignited. It wasn't a gift of wealth or grandeur. It was a gift of understanding, patience, and respect. Clara leaned against him, feeling the quiet power of reconciliation. The journey had been painful, but it had led to clarity. Success is fleeting, but the bonds nurtured with love endure forever. Before closing their day, Clara whispered to Daniel, "Remember this moment. Let it guide us always. Let love, patience, and understanding echo in everything we do." Daniel nodded, a promise reflected in his eyes. The future was uncertain, but now it was filled with intention, respect, and gratitude. For the first time in years, both of them understood the quiet truth. The echoes of care, dedication, and love are louder than any material achievement. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and Clara made it a ritual to revisit old routines that once grounded their love. Mornings returned to small breakfasts together, the scent of burnt toast and coffee filling the kitchen once more. Daniel started writing little notes of encouragement for Clara, tucked into her book or left on the kitchen counter, echoing the gestures that she had once made for him. Each note was a reminder that connection, no matter how small, could rebuild what had been lost. Clara noticed that the laughter between them returned naturally, unforced, flowing like it had before ambition and success had created a wedge. Every shared smile, every gentle touch reaffirmed that patience and consistent care could repair even the deepest cracks. One rainy afternoon, Daniel suggested they volunteer together at the community center where Clara had once worked. It was a symbolic gesture, returning to the roots of compassion and teamwork that had defined their early days. The children ran around them, laughter blending with the rhythmic patter of rain on the roof. Daniel helped a little boy tie his shoes, smiled at a girl struggling with a puzzle, and listened intently to every question the children asked. Clara observed quietly, pride swelling in her chest. The man she loved had grown in wealth, yes, but now he was growing in character, humility, empathy, and presence. Evenings became sacred. They would sit by the window together, sharing their thoughts about the day, reflecting on challenges, and expressing gratitude for what they had learned. Daniel began keeping a journal, recording not numbers or deals, but moments of kindness, observations about human connection, and lessons that his wealth could never buy. Clara joined him occasionally, sketching ideas for gifts, letters, or small acts of kindness they could perform for friends and family. Together, they were slowly crafting a life where intention mattered more than accolades, where their love and shared experiences were the currency of their happiness. One evening, Daniel surprised Clara with a small gesture. He had recreated a miniature version of the old apartment where they had danced barefoot after his first job. A little record player, a table with simple dishes, and candles flickering softly recreated the memories of their humble beginnings. Clara laughed softly through tears. "You remembered every detail," she whispered. Daniel nodded, taking her hand. "I needed to see how far we've come together, not because of money, but because of us." It was in these moments, small, intentional, intimate, that Clara realized the full depth of Daniel's transformation. His success was no longer just financial, it was emotional, relational, and profoundly human. Daniel began reaching out to those he had neglected during his climb to wealth, old colleagues, friends, and mentors who had guided him early on. Clara noticed how his heart softened with each interaction, a genuine desire to reconcile, to express gratitude, and to acknowledge mistakes. They hosted small gatherings at their apartment, sharing stories, laughter, and food. Each gathering became a tapestry of reconciliation, love, and shared humanity. Clara realized that Daniel's growth was not just about recognizing her value, but also about learning humility and the power of restoration in every relationship. At night, Clara would sometimes wake to see Daniel writing quietly at his desk, a lamp casting a gentle glow across his face. The man who had once been consumed by ambition and self-interest now paused to reflect, document lessons, and plan thoughtful actions. She would watch him from the doorway, her heart swelling. Every small act of care, every note, every plan was proof that transformation is possible when love, accountability, and intention converge. By the end of the month, Clara and Daniel had rebuilt a rhythm that was more profound than before. It was a life measured not in wealth, power, or status, but in the quiet echoes of thoughtful actions, mutual respect, and unconditional love. Every morning they shared coffee. Every evening they reflected on their day, and every week they revisited the lessons learned from the trials that had once threatened to break them. It was here, in these simple, intentional moments, that Clara understood the moral of their journey. The richest life is one nurtured with love, patience, and intentional care for the people who truly matter. Weeks had passed since Daniel began mending the fractures in his life, but the weight of past neglect lingered like a shadow. Clara had watched quietly, never demanding, never scolding. Her strength was in her patience. Tonight, Daniel had something important to say, something that would mark the turning point of their story. They sat together in the dimly lit living room, the soft hum of the city outside their window, a steady companion. Daniel's fingers fidgeted, tracing the edge of a cup as if it held the courage he lacked. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about me," Daniel began, voice tight but earnest. "I let success blind me. I forgot who stood beside me before the glass walls and corner offices. I forgot you." Clara's gaze softened, but she didn't speak. Her silence was a quiet force, a mirror reflecting the gravity of his words. Daniel continued, his voice now steadier, filled with regret and humility. "I thought money and success could fill the gaps I neglected, but I see now it only widened them. I hurt the person I loved the most, the person who believed in me when no one else did." Clara took a deep breath, remembering every small sacrifice she had made for him, every quiet support, every sleepless night she had spent cheering him on. And now, finally, the moment had come, a reckoning that could have gone bitter, but she chose grace. "I waited for this moment," Clara said softly, her voice steady yet warm, "not for apologies alone, but to see if you remembered what really matters." Then Clara revealed what she had kept close to her heart, the quiet secret that had held the balance of power. A small envelope rested on the coffee table, its contents unseen but weighty with significance. "This," Clara said, placing it gently in front of Daniel, "is a reminder. I never stopped believing in you, but I also never stopped knowing my worth." Daniel hesitated, then picked up the envelope, feeling its thickness, its weight, and the care imbued in it. Inside was a letter she had written months ago, before he even acknowledged his neglect. Words of love, of hope, of gentle guidance, a reminder of the woman who had shaped him, held him, and quietly watched over him while he chased the world. Daniel read the letter slowly, absorbing every word. Tears pricked the corners of his eyes, unearthing the guilt, the love, and the lessons he had ignored for so long. Every line was a mirror reflecting his past failures and the depth of Clara's patience. I don't deserve this," he whispered, voice breaking. Clara reached out, placing a hand over his. "You deserve it because I chose to share it with you, not as punishment, but as truth. Truth always has the power to heal if we let it." That evening, Daniel and Clara sat in silence, the weight of years, mistakes, and triumphs settling around them. Daniel realized that wealth was fleeting, influence temporary, but love, deliberate, patient, enduring love, had shaped the life he now held. "I have been blind," Daniel admitted. "I chased numbers, titles, and recognition. I forgot the foundation of everything. You, us, our journey." Clara's eyes glistened with tears, not of sorrow, but of quiet victory. "Then see it now," she said. "See the truth and let it guide you forward." The next day, Daniel acted. He started small, sending handwritten notes of gratitude to those he had overlooked, reconnecting with old friends, and dedicating time to the family and community that had supported him before fame and fortune. Clara watched quietly, heart swelling, as the man she loved began to transform in ways she had silently hoped for. It was more than reconciliation. It was proof that respect, accountability, and love could guide even the most lost heart back to what truly matters. That evening, Daniel surprised Clara with a small gathering in their apartment. Friends, family, and mentors joined them, celebrating not wealth, but restored relationships, growth, and the power of forgiveness. Laughter filled the room, echoing around the walls that had once witnessed distance and neglect. Clara looked around, her eyes meeting Daniel's. No words were necessary. The journey of love, patience, and understanding had reached a pivotal moment, a turning point that would echo for the rest of their lives. Before the night ended, Clara took Daniel aside. "Remember," she whispered, "love is not just about being present in easy moments. It's about showing up even when it's hard, when life distracts you, or when pride tempts you to ignore what matters most." Daniel nodded, fully aware now of the quiet strength Clara had wielded, patience, resilience, and the secret that had taught him humility. It was a reckoning not born of anger, but of love, a transformative moment that left both of them stronger, wiser, and more connected than ever. The morning sunlight spilled into their apartment, golden and warm, as if the world itself was celebrating renewal. Clara prepared coffee while Daniel stood by the window, watching the city wake around them. There was a call neither had felt in years, a quiet acknowledgement that the past, with all its mistakes and regrets, had led them to this moment. "I never realized how much I took for granted," Daniel admitted, voice soft. "I was so busy chasing dreams, I forgot the ones who built the foundation for them." Clara placed a hand gently on his arm. "You are here now. That's what matters. But remember, it's not just about being present. It's about being consistent, intentional, and aware of the people who lift you every day." Later, they sat together at the small dining table, surrounded by handwritten notes and letters from the past few weeks. Daniel had started reconnecting with friends, colleagues, and mentors, gestures of gratitude and acknowledgement that had been long overdue. Clara watched him, proud yet quiet. "You are learning," she said softly. "Growth is rarely loud. Sometimes it's the small, deliberate steps that matter most." Daniel nodded, understanding the depth of her words. He realized love was not measured by grand gestures or money, but by time, attention, and the consistent presence of the heart. That afternoon, Daniel invited Clara to walk through the neighborhood where their story had begun, the streets where he had whispered dreams, where they had danced barefoot in a tiny apartment, where every corner held memories of hope and struggle. As they walked, hand in hand, he turned to her with a genuine smile. "I understand now. Success is meaningless without the people who love you unconditionally. Without you, Clara, I wouldn't be half the man I think I am today." Clara squeezed his hand. "And you'll never forget again, will you?" "I won't," he promised. "Not now, not ever." In the evening, they hosted a quiet celebration for themselves and a few close friends. Laughter and light conversation filled the room, a stark contrast to the tension that had once overshadowed their lives. Daniel spoke openly, acknowledging mistakes, expressing gratitude, and showing humility that only experience can teach. Clara watched him with a gentle pride. This was the culmination of patience, love, and subtle guidance. Her quiet secret had not been revenge, but a catalyst for reflection and transformation. Later, Daniel presented Clara with a small, handcrafted gift, a symbol of gratitude, love, and renewed commitment. It wasn't expensive or flashy, but it was meaningful, a token of understanding that wealth alone could never provide. "I made this for you," he said, holding it carefully, "because you reminded me of what truly matters. You reminded me of love, patience, and the value of quiet strength." Clara accepted it with tears glistening, heart swelling with both pride and relief. The years of struggle, neglect, and hope had come full circle. That night, they sat together sipping tea by the window. The city lights reflected in the glass, mirroring the newfound clarity between them. Clara's heart was at peace. Daniel's eyes, once distracted by ambition and pride, now shone with understanding and humility. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "Life teaches us through every trial. Every act of patience, every quiet moment of strength leaves an echo far beyond what we can see." Daniel reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "I hear it, I feel it, and I will never forget it again."
Sometimes the people we love the most may forget us, may chase dreams without seeing the ones who built their foundation. But patience, wisdom, and quiet strength can guide them back. Your truth, your love, and your actions leave echoes that transform lives if you allow them. It was the final lesson of their journey. Love is deliberate, presence is priceless, and strength is measured not by what you take, but by what you give. Thank you for spending your time with me. If this story touched something in you, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your truth, your story needs to be echoed. This is She Echoed, where every story finds its voice.